Bildy here. Real nice day. Nice afternoon in the park. Gonna talk about memory. I'm gonna tell a little story first. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with it, but it all lead into it. I was in Afghanistan and I worked for over a year on night shift. It was pretty nice. Some security guys, not too many. No safety guys. We had a nice tight little crew of people that were willing to take calculated risks. One thing we had was a trash mission. Every night. We had 12 hours to do it. They had metal cans about 1 meter square, sometimes bigger, 4 foot square maybe. Biggest ones were probably 5 foot square. Metal cubes. They just scattered them all over the base and they'd fill them up with trash. Had several little fast forklifts, the extended booms, all-terrain, 4-wheel steering, Manitous, cats, 40-foot trailer, a couple of 40-foot trailers and trucks. And our tight little group, oh, there were some characters there. Most of them were ex-military guys. Most of them were ex-Marines. From Gulf War, from Somalia. Great group of people. Well, we figured a way to do all our work in a couple of hours. We'd have the truck drivers just kind of drive through real slow with both trucks, and we scurry around those little forklifts, and we could grab, we make sure when we place the containers, we place them in a place where you can just drive by and scoop them up, run to the trailer, stretch it out, crab sideways, and put it on it. We'd stack them 2 or 3 high on the trailers. The trailer never had to stop. He just idled through, well, more than idled. He just went through town real slow one time, and we filled it. Just eased through town from one side to the other and then out to the dump. And then emptying them, that's a time-consuming thing. You have to flip them over and then pick them up, shake them out. It had a real steep hill going down into the pit, and then it leveled off. We found that if you extend the boom out while you're driving down that hill, you could actually balance it on the front wheels and just drive down on 2 wheels and you can get really good at it. Like I said, safety wasn't around. Well, that's how you find the edges. You get really good at what you're doing. And when you get to the bottom where it transitions to the flat, it flips it up. And the container would leave the forks and go, oh, about 15, 20 foot higher than the forklift. And do a somersault. If you did it right, it would just flip over and over, end over end. And all the trash would fall out by the time it got to the bottom. Usually, if you did it really well, it would land right side up, empty, and you just scoop it up and go right back to the truck. Yeah, that's how we did. We never stopped moving. Everything's always moving. And then the truck would idle back through town real nice and slow, and we'd scoop all the containers off and drop them back where we wanted them without ever stopping. If we'd have got caught, they'd have probably fired all of us. Especially being KBR gets money for firing you. But what happened is we had the rest of the night to, you know, find more interesting things to do than work. And most of the guys watch movies. Especially these military guys. They like watching certain movies over and over again. Apocalypse Now, Green Berets. Their favorite seemed to be Once We Were Soldiers. Everybody loved that. I don't care for movies, but you know, I saw Once We Were Soldiers probably like 3 or 4 times. And that's a very small percentage of what they played it. I contributed. I brought some South Park cartoons and everybody loved those. We'd watch those. But I watched that movie enough to know a lot about it. Don't remember much now. I'm glad I don't remember much. I'll tell you why in a minute. My uncle was a Marine. He was in Korea. And they had a war film for their recreational activity. They had a tent with a film with a screen in it, set up a projector, brought them all in, and they ran some old John Wayne war flick. Well, it wasn't old then. And in this particular flick, he had his leg either blown off or shot real bad, where he's only got one leg, though it's functional, maybe even only one leg. I never saw that movie. My uncle just told me about it. And he was shooting, I believe it was a BAR with one hand while standing on one leg. Well, as soon as those Marines in Korea saw that, they rioted. They tore down the screen. They started turning over furniture and yelling. Yeah, that's the way people used to react to bullshit. But I guess people nowadays have developed a taste for it. Anyway, fast forward to Peoria. I'm working at Caterpillar. I'd occasionally go to a little mom and pop restaurant. I like sitting at a booth near other people so I can listen to, you know, the local fuglies talk about local life. You might learn something that way. I went in one day, there's a bunch of Vietnam veterans in there. Old guys, well, you know, of course they're going to be old. A couple of them are in bad shape, had oxygen tanks. One of them's in a wheelchair with an oxygen tank. They're sitting around telling war stories. I made sure and sat close to them so I could listen. I'm sitting there listening to one guy going on and on and on. That war story started sounding real familiar. And he was telling it in the first person as he was there, and he had some embellishments and details and stuff all happened to him. He was telling scenes from once we were soldiers. I looked at the other guys, a few of them were kind of looking embarrassed and rolling their eyes. He probably watched that movie 100 times. And then he got old. Arteries started hardening up. He's on all kind of medication. He forgot what's real and what's not. What's real and what he saw on a screen. Well, I'm not judging the guy or anything, you know. Most boomers would say, well, you know, let's let him have his little moment there. It's comfort for him, you know, and he enjoys it. Well, that all depends on your existential outlook. What's life for? Your own personal comfort and pleasure? Is that what we're here for? I have a real strong affinity for reality. I don't care how pleasant the pipe dreams you want to give me are. I'm not going to drift off into them if I can help it. Now they're talking about these chips that they're developing technology to go straight into your brain program and download memories. That might be BS. Might just be fishing for you know, development money and investments. And some of the stuff they got, it's very possible. I think they might not be lying. You can buy memories and have them downloaded, and they'll be yours as though it happened to you. Would you do that? I wouldn't. It's probably going to be real stupid crap too. Like you had a grunt with some celebrity chick or something. Yeah, right. God. People will be lining up for that and paying big money for it. It's pretty scary. What about all these movies you watch, all this programming, all your shows? What's going to happen when you get old? You're going to be able to keep it sorted out what's real and what's not? Or do you think it doesn't really matter as long as you have a good time and are comfortable? I mean, from what I know, this just doesn't sound right to me. I wouldn't do it. And you watch the news, and you got all these things that they tell you. All that stuff that they're telling you about Ukraine, it's nuts. Oh, Russia lost already, and they just suffered huge losses, and well, Ukraine's just about ready to kick the last of them out, and boy, and triumph over everything. They're telling people that. Zelensky's a hero. He was down there in the trenches. Boy, those Russians are sorry they ever messed with Ukraine. That's what they're saying in the Western media. It's way more than the exact opposite. And now they're saying the Russians committed the war crimes. No, it was the Ukrainian army that did that, especially the Nazi battalions. They always have done it. There's evidence of them having done it for the last 8 years. Why would Russia do it now? They're projecting And they're quoting the Ukrainian media, which is insane. But how many people believe it? Everywhere I look on the internet, everything I open, every company I look at, they have the blue and yellow murder puppet flag posted proudly, and they're collecting money. I go through my page on the internet, and I didn't ask for any of this stuff. They've got, you know, every second or third post on my feed is some sort of Ukrainian thing asking for money. They can't hide the truth forever. Are people so stupid that when they have to admit that they lost their ass and they carve out the whole southern section of Ukraine, southeastern section, to be Novaya Russia, as it was back before the Bolshevik Revolution? It was Novaya Russia. It wasn't part of Ukraine before. Never was. It's full of Russian people. Yeah. And all that has to be admitted. How are they going to spin that? Are people just going to shift gears and start believing the opposite lie? Oh, they stole it. They took it. I thought they lost. It's media. It's a show. It doesn't matter to people. They're just in it for the entertainment. That's why they don't want to listen to the truth. You're ruining the movie. That's what I think a lot of it is. It's part of their identity. They're part of this system. They've identified themselves as part of it, and they don't want anything else. They want to be a good part of it, and they believe what they're freaking told. They don't care about reality. They care about their own pleasure and entertainment. That's all they care about. I don't think it'll end well for them. But, no, that's just me. What do you think? I mean, if it's just all about your own pleasure and comfort, why don't you get a lobotomy? You won't have to worry about anything then. You could sit in the rain, freezing to death with no food, and just twirl your thumbs and be happy as a clam. Why not? Get part of your brain removed. It'll be okay. How's that different than electronic lobotomy? Getting it implanted, memories that you didn't have, unreality. What about the electronic lobotomy with the TV? It's the same thing. It's just not as good an interface. They're perfecting the interfaces. Something to think about. A little short one. Hope you got something from it. Feel free to comment. And go to unclebilly.com. I got some interesting stuff on there. I'll probably write something about this. Uncle Billy signing out.